touching on the top prop bets in the NBA today. All right, guys, so we are going to attempt to give some NBA props here based off the Rising Stars Challenge in today's video. Going to give a couple of NHL bets. There's actually two on Underdog that are kind of sticking out, so I'll be touching on those and then get into some PGA bets. Okay, so let's go ahead and start out with the Rising Stars Challenge. So first and foremost, I think the best way to start is by saying this is truly like gambling, guys, here, because most days we are making the best bets we can based off of the data that we have available, based off of the Vegas lines, based off the projection, and then just going throughout the process to find the best bets. Well, today we don't exactly have any data points to really go off of, okay? But I will say, just right off the board, when I woke up this morning, I was scrolling through it, I'm like, some of these lines seem extremely low. Like Scotty Barnes, 5.5 points, that seems low. Like Keegan Murray, Benedict Mathurin, those were some ones that stuck out to me. And so I'm like, all right, let's just go through this process to see if there are any bets that I think we can find. So I would say the very first thing we need to do is figure out kind of the contest. Okay, so the format for this is going to be 3 games. Okay, there's going to be 2 semifinals games, game 1 and game 2. There's 4 teams, so Team A will face off against Team B, and Team C will face off against Team D. They're going to play to a final score of 40 points in the first 2 games, which is huge prop-wise. And then the winners of both games will play each other in game 3 for a total point of 25. So they're playing to 25 points. Okay, and so the first game, target score of 40 points, and then the second game, 25 points, okay? And so how the teams were determined is that there was a draft, okay? And so looking at it, we can see and this goes in order, I believe. So Banchero, Mathurin, Ivy, Barnes, Murray. And so what sucks about this here is that literally I started this video out with saying my favorite plays pretty much, and they're all on the same team, which worries me. Like Mathurin could go off. Barnes should go off. Like one of the best players playing in tonight's game, right? And Banchero obviously as well, but Barnes is more proven. Jalen Green's out, or else I probably would have loved him. Wagner was the first pick. Then we got Green, who's being replaced. Okay. Sangoon, Murphy, Bones Highland, who could be sneaky. And then Kessler. You got Mobley, first pick. Giddy, Williams, Sochan, Grimes, Smith, Duran, and Eason. And then we got the G League Ignite team, which could be an edge there as well. Okay. Because we can see kind of the makeup of that team. And so you just got to find the one that's going to go out there and chuck, right? And so I was pretty curious as to kind of how last year went. So Ant-Man, Mobley, Ball, Cole Anthony were the first picks. And then we can kind of see Cade Cunningham, Scotty Barnes, Josh Giddey. So I wanted to see kind of how the first few picks did points-wise. Were they able to get there? So let's go ahead and pull that up. So in this game, we got Cole Anthony, only 4 points. I don't know what his over-under was set there. You would think the earlier picks are going to score more is pretty much my assumption. And so that did not happen in this game. It's actually Jalen Green going off, which in retrospect makes a ton of sense. And then Edwards, only 4 points in that game as well. So the first 2 picks on that side didn't really score. Now, if we go to the other game, we can see a lot more scoring here. Ball, 8 points, which on tonight's game, not terrible. Like 8 points is 20% of the points that they need to score. So, that's not terrible. And then looking at the other side, Mobley 13, and then you had Cade Cunningham going off as well. And so I would say kind of for the most part, the players that were expected to go off did. And so that will be kind of my approach to go with tonight as well. So I don't mind Bones Highland at 6.5 points, but that's 16% of the points. Will he be able to get there? Obviously he did in the last game, but the question is, will he be able to? We don't exactly know, obviously, but I don't mind that. Wagner was the first overall pick. Can he score 16% of his team points? Probably. Those I do like. First pick for a reason, right? And if we just look at the makeup of this roster, who is going to be the ones that's scoring, right? It probably would be a little bit of Wagner. He's not exactly a scorer. And then probably Bones Highland. The biggest issue that we're having is the minutes. What are the minutes going to be like? And so just looking at last year's box score, they didn't really give us the minutes here. Okay. And so to me, kind of my biggest worry too is that I would say that the team that has Scotty Barnes, Keegan Murray, Banchero is kind of lopsided. So I kind of expect them to win. You never know. But I don't mind Keegan Murray. I don't mind Scotty Barnes. I don't mind Benedict Mathurin. I feel like those players should be able to get there. But the issue is, when we're looking at the box scores, we consistently saw that the scoring was kind of spread out, and there's 1 or 2 players that went off, which left the scoring kind of low for other players. So that's the biggest question. It's can we still get there with multiple players? And that's the biggest issue. Looking at the G League team, the two players that score the most on average are going to be these two, Lofton and Mac. Now, I think everyone's going to be a Mac. I feel like he's a little bit juiced up because of his name recognition. Lofton would probably be the one I would go with the most just because he does score the most. Tough to say for sure. So like in summary, the players that I think I would be on would be Highland, Wagner over points, you know, and then I probably would be on Mobley over points, and then maybe Jalen Williams over points. And then the toughest part about Paul Gasol's team is that we kind of like all of them. Like Banchero probably too high, so I would just go with Scotty Barnes, Keegan Murray, and Benedict Mathurin. I feel like Scotty Barnes, he should be the strongest one here, right? Just looking at it on paper at 5.5, that's probably too low. Keegan Murray and Benedict Mathurin, when they get minutes, they are players that produce as well. So I do like that. I was kind of hoping we get fantasy score, honestly. I thought that'd be sneaky good. And then Lofton is probably who I'd go with for that. So I believe, and let's get into NHL here, I believe they have been like taking some off this morning that we were getting that were like pretty strong bets. So like the only good one that we're getting right now, and this isn't great, would be the under 3.5 shots on goal right here. So if you look at DK Sportsbook, about minus 135. And so not even like a lock. Like it's an okay bet. We can make that bet if we want to. It's okay. And guys, how painful was it? I try to put this in like every spot in which I give kind of prop content. It's the fact that one of the NHL bets, the second NHL bet that I gave, it flipped from being like minus 144 under to like minus 130 over like 2 hours before lock. And I'm just like, that is painful. And that's obviously that's part of the risk of doing it this way, like chasing the best odds, is that the odds can change based off of a certain situation. So with that, like we're capped with what we can do NHL wise today on PrizePicks as it sits right now. So I was able to find a couple of good bets on Underdog. So here we got the over shots on goal here at 2.5, probably the best NHL bet that we're going to get today. Okay, as it sits right now, 2.5. And I believe PrizePicks did have this available and they just took it away because it was a good number. And so if we look across like all the sports books for this prop, it's minus 131 to get the over, and the under is plus 120. So that's a big spread. And so I like to see that because that does favor the chances of the over being correct and the under not being correct, or being correct as well, I guess. And so if we pull it up on DK Sportsbook, it's going to be that same message right there. So a pretty good bet that we're getting. And then an okay bet that we're getting on Underdog as well. And if guys, if you want to become an Underdog player, use the link in the description below. That just helps me out. It's a 9to5 promo code. Basically, when I go to Underdog, it's to make a 3-leg bet because the payout is much better on Underdog. So like Matt Boldy, minus 135 under. Let's just show you guys an example of that. Then I'm tossing in like a random PGA prop real quick. Sure, whatever. So if we do 3-leg bet on Underdog, and let's just say, I don't know, we do $10, the payout would be $60 here. And so let me just do a random bet here. We can see this is going to be about 50. Okay, so that's a big edge. So typically speaking, I always make the bets here on Underdog for a 3-leg bet. And actually, for what it's worth, this is a PGA bet that I don't mind. And I'll get into some PGA bets here now. Okay, so yesterday, the best props that we were getting were the greens and regulations props. Now, the course played much more difficult as a whole. The greens were harder to hit, the fairways were harder to hit, the scoring was higher, and there was less birdies made in general. Okay, so we can see the edge is going to be much more tight today. Now, I will still say, like Patrick Hanley, he played in the morning wave yesterday, and the morning wave, the greens were a lot harder during the morning. There was like 2 shots in which if he hit them in the afternoon, the ball would have stuck on the green. Like I'm pretty confident about that, where they just rolled to the fringe because the greens were a little bit harder. And we can see this number at 11.5 does seem to be a little bit too low. Now the edge isn't huge there, not a big edge, okay? But he's someone that managed to get the over force yesterday at 12. And he also messed up like an easy par 5 to green. And we're not saying that that's going to like adjust, but at the same time, very low number there, okay? The event average typically is 11.5. Now, if we look at the live tournament average, it's about 10.1. So we can see it did play much more difficult than expected. And that's kind of why I think we're getting these high numbers. So if we look at it, like Hideki, I'd be fine with that 11. Chances are that's going to be a push. And now we could flip it around. And because like someone like JT, and this one's going off early, so tough to really make it, but JT going off early, could see him not being able to get 11.5 greens and regulations because it did play a little bit harder. And same thing with like Scotty Scheffler, tough to see him getting there. But those are literally probably locking as I put this video out. I do think the strokes props could be very interesting here. So Matt Kuchar, Adam Hadwin, Harris English are all players that played much better than they're expected to, especially like Harris English. So chances are, I would say that the over would be the likely bet. Okay, like I don't love those. And so for me, like I don't really want to chase any of the strokes props. Now you could do like JT over if you wanted to, But if you're doing JT over, you would do it on Underdog, and it sucks. This is too late in the day, because this is going to be gone. That would be the move. If there's 5 minutes before, hammer that bet. So like what I think I would want to do is do the birdie or better. So like looking at it, like Harris English made 6 birdies yesterday, and 2 of them were pretty lucky. Chances are he's not going to get 3 again. So that'd be one. Tom Hoagie, kind of same thing. Chances are he's not going to get that again. Adam Hadwin, Matt Kuchar, like they all played better than expected. So it's tough to see them getting over that. We can see the average birdies made yesterday were 3.2. Okay, so any one of these golfers like Gary Woodland, Matt Kuchar, Adam Hadwin, Max Homa, Tom Hoagie, Harris English that played better than expected, I'd be fine betting the under birdie or betters there. The issue is we're just not getting locks. Okay, that's the biggest issue we're having. So guys, no bet of the day or anything like that. I guess I would do that underdog bet. That's probably the best one that we're getting right now. And the nice thing about that is like you can miss, if you just make that same bet, a 3-leg bet each time on PrizePicks and Underdog, you can miss one more time on Underdog basically because the payout is better. So if you do make that bet, or if you guys play on Underdog or haven't used Underdog yet and you want to sign up, use the promo code in the description. That helps me out a decent amount. All right, but that's all for this video. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. Hopefully we have a fun NBA Rising Stars challenge. Let's have a good slate. But hey guys, we are very much, this is risky, okay? If we're playing today, it's playing for fun. Let's be honest there, okay? It is not a day in which we expect to have a mega profit. It's not a day in which we are really playing to have a profit. I want to make that clear. We don't have really any locks. We don't have really any strong bets. Sure, I like the Rising Stars ones, but we know that's just a guessing game. We have no data to go off of there. It is very much educated, not even educated, it's just a guess with some slight assumptions. Okay, so be careful. Don't go crazy. All right, thanks for watching. Let's have a good slate, and as always, let's keep cashing.